Hi everybody, welcome to another video. This one is the Anest Iwata Wider1L. Now, the Wider series, they make a Wider 4, they make a Wider 2 actually, and they also make a 3. But the one we're interested here is the Wider1L, because the L versions, and it's the same with the Wider 4 and the rest of the series, are just low pressure versions. But it's not quite as simple as that. What you get is because it runs at a lower pressure, you get a different tip to it. Normally you get a 4, well I say normally, in all cases you get a 4 cutout tip. So the tip has 4 slots on it. With the normal Wider series, and that goes for all of them basically, you just get a standard tip. So the L version has this 4 cutout tip, and what it allows it to do, it allows it to atomize really fine in combination with the cap at a lower pressure. So you get the Wider 4L, which I've done a video on. I'll put a link in the description so that you can find that. You get the Wider 1L, you get the 2, and I don't think they do a 3 actually, but the L version, as I say, is low pressure. So the idea of low pressure is that you get the same atomization as you would with the normal gun. So say a normal gun's designed to run at 2 bar, you would get the same atomization with this at 1 bar. And what that allows you to do is it allows much less overspray and less paint waste. And that's the whole idea really of these low pressure guns. Now you do pay for this. You see me holding my hands out there, it's because there's virtually no overspray whatsoever. You do pay for this, and you pay for this by the fact that the guns are normally quite a bit more expensive. The split technology, the split tip technology is patented, so Iwata are the only ones using it at the moment, but it really does make a difference to the way things can spray. So I've had this video, this is a combination of 2 videos actually. This one was originally recorded about 1.5 years ago, and this is when I first got the gun. And I've done just one of our test panels I did just to show you what it's like on the test panel. I like using the test panel because you can look at other videos with the same panel, you can see the time it takes to do it, you can see the finish, etc., and you can compare it. You can look at the videos and compare it for yourself, so you don't just rely on me telling you what I'm telling you. But as I said, it's a combination of this one, which is about 100, good blimey, I wish so, about 1.5 years old, and then the next one which is about 2 months old. So it shows you my style slightly changing as we go along, but it also allows you to see it on, this is a bike part, the bit towards the end is a car panel, so it'll give you some idea of what it's like with a full panel. So what's the gun actually like? Well, it's really good, and I mean really good. It's supremely high atomization. It really atomizes fine. I didn't feel the need, I used it on 1 bar, I didn't feel the need to pop it up to 1.1 maybe. I didn't feel the need to go any higher really. It's what it's designed to run at, and at most of the time, depending on the material, weather, etc., most of the time these recommended settings by the manufacturers are a really good guide. So that's what I used it at, and I've used it at that more or less ever since. So I find it really good at that setting. It's really good for base coat. As I say, it atomizes very fine, and it's all to do with this split tip. I'm sure it's all to do with this split tip. I did a video, which again I'll put a link in the description, of just the Wider one, which is the simpler, for want of a better word, version than this, the one that runs at a higher pressure. Sorry. And I did a video of that, and that one, I mean, that was a really good gun, because at the time I said still now, it would be a good alternative to the LPH101, but they're a lot cheaper. These things are probably about double the price, so you are paying extra money here, so it does bring it into the focus of other guns, into the field of other guns, if you're thinking about buying something like this. But yeah, they're a really, really good gun. They're good for metallic base coat because of the very even pattern and the even atomization, the fine atomization. They're good for blending and just generally getting a really good finish. You know, just something that's nice and flat. All your metallics run out nicely. You don't get any coarse edges or anything like that. Really, really good gun. Really enjoyed using it. And the biggest thing here, I think, is if you're a guy at home, then the lack of overspray is something really good. Not just because it saves materials, which it does save materials, but because it allows you to do your painting without so much interruption around you. And by that I mean lots of overspray in the surroundings you are. So you might be outside, you might be on your drive, whatever you're doing. You know, it just allows you to work without so much intrusion around you of the spraying process. So highly recommended for a person at home, as long as you don't mind the extra cost. You can see the lack of overspray here. It's a cracking gun for keeping the emissions down and keeping things where they should be, and that's on the object rather than in the air. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed using it. One thing I was going to say about it is that it's a side cup, and you know, people that watch the channel will know that I quite like the side cups, but it is a side cup, so some people are put off by that. A lot of people that are put off by that are put off by it because they've never tried one. But if you do try one, it really doesn't make much difference at all. What it does do is it keeps the height of the gun down. So if you're working in more confined spaces, then it's actually really good. But yeah, some people are put off by the fact that it's a side cup. But yeah, they do this in 1.2, 1.4 and 1.6. This is a 1.4. Now, if you look at this, and particularly the panel that's coming up soon, you'll see that it's relatively slow. With the base coat, as you'll see here, it's not so much of an issue. Obviously, if you're doing a whole car, then you probably wouldn't use this anyway. But I think it's designed for, well, I mean, it is designed for smart repairs and part repairs, really. But there's nothing to stop a guy at home doing 2, 3, 4 panels at a go with this at home. And as I say, keeping the environment a bit less hostile. You know, if you've got neighbours or whatever, it just makes it a bit more palatable for everybody involved, really, I suppose. But as I say, they do it in 1.2, 1.4 and 1.6. This is the 1.4, and the amount of material it puts out isn't great, so I probably wouldn't recommend, although I haven't tried and haven't got, I probably wouldn't recommend the 1.2 because this is quite slow going, and it atomises, as I've said before, atomises really well. So I see no reason to go for a smaller tip. Sometimes you'll find that if you go for a smaller tip, so the cap's the same, your air pressure's the same, everything's the same, but the tip's a bit smaller, because there's less fluid coming out, and I'm not just talking about this gun now, I'm just talking about in general, because there's less fluid coming out, it seems to atomise better. Not in all cases, but quite often. For example, the Pro Light, GTI Pro Light or Technic Pro Light, as you know it as in the States, that I find if you want a super flat finish, you're better off going for the 1.2 tip, simply because it just puts out a bit less material. Yes, it makes it slower. If you've got a lot to do, you probably won't like it, but the same amount of air is controlled in slightly less fluid, and I think it atomises it better, and that's certainly what I'm finding. I have no idea whether that's technically correct, but it's certainly what I'm finding. So, you know, often what people say is better backed up by what you do, and when I do stuff, I am finding that. So I think that's probably true. But as I say, it's just what I'm finding, really. But yeah, as I say, excellent for base coat as well as clear coat. What another thing I would say is it's not particularly, it's not air hungry at all. It according to Iwata, it uses 200 litres of air a minute, but which is a fair bit for a minigun. But it's not for example, like the Segola Mini Extreme, which is something like 350. So it's not loads and loads of air, but don't expect to buy this and use it on a really small compressor, because it's got low emissions, works on a low pressure. The air holes in the cap are quite big, so it does use a reasonable amount of air, even though it's only running at 1 bar, which is what we're running this on at the moment. So, as I say, don't think it's an air hole at all, but a lot of people contact me have got small compressors and ask me about some of the smaller miniguns I use. And I will try and get a video up on micro guns, and we'll just run it for a 50 litre compressor to see how long it takes to drain that, so that you guys get an idea of it, because I know a lot of people have got 20 litre compressors, 25 litre compressors. You know, you're not going to power a WS400 or anything like that with one of those, but some of these guns you will power, and a lot of people do models with the smaller guns. I know a lot of people do models, so I'll try and rig something up. I don't do models, but I'll try and rig something up where, you know, we're spraying something and we try and see what the air consumption is and compare all the smaller guns. But I'm going off a bit really, because obviously we're supposed to be talking about this gun. But yeah, I mean, it's really, really good. As I say, very, very low overspray, but don't think it's going to use, like, it uses much more air than an LPH101. So, you know, there is a trade-off to all this, but it's really, really cracking gun. I really, really enjoyed using it. The finish for clear coat is just as good. This is U-pole clear coat, so the clear coat, as I've said a few times before, is not doing it any favours, in that the U-pole doesn't actually flow that well, so you need to get it on as you're going to finish it really, and it's not playing into the hands of a gun like this. The U-pole will play into the hands of a gun that really throws it out, because you can still move quick. You get the clear coat on there, it runs the amount it's going to, because there's so much on there, it runs into each other nicely. With this, because it's atomizing really fine, then it just doesn't, the amount of material that's hitting the panel is less, so there's not as much flow with the U-pole. But if you use this with a better quality clear coat that flows out better, you would find it even easier. But you can see the results here, they're absolutely cracking. This car panel and the tank exactly the same, nothing's polished. All you see here is exactly as it comes off the gun. You'll see the odd nib every now and again, because obviously we get a little bit of rubbish in it sometimes. Not that often, but we get a little bit in there because of the conditions we're in. But everything is off the gun, so everything you see is exactly how it came out. Anyway guys, hope I haven't rabbited on too much. Thanks for watching as always. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, think about giving us a subscription, because it helps the channel grow, and the more viewers we get, the better really. All right guys, thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye bye.